Now, the next setting is on group submission settings, and since we don't do group submissions for this training, or rather we assume that they will not be submitting in groups because they don't have internet connection or they have challenges in their internet connection, then we leave this one as no, and then also leave the settings under notifications as is. The grade is here, that we can specify how the grade is going to be specified, and we normally leave this one as point, so that means this is, for example, worth 100 points. Now, so if you feel or if you want to set this particular assignment as worth 20 points, then this is where you change this to 20 points. You can also specify the grade to pass and just leave the other settings as is. Now, there are other settings here that also are left at the default, such as the ID number, the group mode. We don't do group activities. We have restrictions, activity completion. Kindly leave this one as is. So here, if the completion tracking is that the students can manually mark the activity as completed, that's the default setting. But you also can change the setting here to show activity as complete when conditions are met, meaning if a student is able to submit the assignment, then automatically this would be marked as complete. So if you remember, during our first activity here in this training, if you are able to introduce yourself and are able to also comment or reply to any of the posts of the other participants, then that particular activity is marked complete. So this is what we actually did. Now, so say for example, students must view this activity to complete it. Students must receive a grade to complete this activity. So you can actually toggle this if you want to. Now, or you can manually mark, or the students can manually mark the activity as completed. So that means that for this particular activity, if you leave this one as is, once the student submits an assignment, then he or she will have to tag it as completed, and that's also a possibility. Or you can also automatically complete this or assume that it is completed on this particular date. So what happens here is that say you either trust your students, or like regardless of whether they have submitted this or not, they can proceed to the next activities of your course. Then you can specify here a date. It's like an estimated date, and just leave the other settings as is. And once you're done, you just mark or just save this assignment and display. So what's the difference between save and return to course and save and display? If you select save and display, it will be shown on your screen like this. Now, if after saving the settings and you select save and return to course, then you will go back to your course and you may be able to submit or to post other learning activities. So at this point, I'd like you to do the other settings that I have just discussed. I suggest that since you have already specified the submission type, kindly also change the submission settings. Perhaps you want to try what happens if you change this one to yes, although we normally save this set this as no, so that students can still make changes to their assignment while it's not yet the due date. It's really up to you. Or you can also set the activity completion options. So at this point, I'd like you to come up with your own assignment. At this point, assume that you're going to expect a file to be uploaded on the PLMS, and we will discuss the settings of the online course in a little while. I'm going to teach you how to create an assignment, and instead of uploading a file, just use the online text. So first, we have already created one assignment here, and if you have noticed, you have here the edit assignment button, which we have been using earlier to edit the settings of assignment 1. Now if you have noticed, you have here 3 buttons and 3 dots. These 3 dots will actually allow you to delete an assignment, to show an assignment, or to hide it. Now, so if you remember, under edit assignment, you have an option here on visibility, and the common suggestion is that while you are still creating your assignment, you have to hide it from the students, like if you're creating an exam, for example, so that while you're still working on it, there will be no submissions that will come in, especially if you're doing this online. So if your setting is hide from students, then that button that I've shown you earlier will allow you to show it, or if it is shown, that button is your shortcut to hide. So let me just cancel this. And so that is the purpose of this. So you can hide it because it's displayed, or if you don't see the hide option here, it means to say that it is currently shown, or it's currently hidden and you cannot hide it anymore. So the option that you will find here is show. Now there's also another option, duplicate, which I want to show you now. So when you duplicate an assignment, that means to say that the assignment will be marked as copy. So as you can see here, it's a copy. So the rest of the other settings are exactly the same as the first one that we have created. Now, so perhaps we'll name this one assignment number 2. And let's say that instead of submitting a photo, you say define art in your own words. Okay, now let's say that since you already understand the meaning of the dates and the submission and the availability options, let me just focus here on the file submission. The rest are actually the same as the one that I discussed earlier. But what does online text mean? So online text means that the student, if you're going to remove this option here, the student does not have to submit or attach any file to this assignment, but rather the answer to this assignment will have to be typed in by the student. So it's like a text box, that's an online text, where the student can answer your assignment. And then here you can also enable the number of words. So say, for example, you want the answer to this question to be at most 100 words. Now, then you have, if you've noticed, the other options are now deactivated because you did not select file submissions, and that's it. No, so basically that's the only difference between attaching a file and selecting online text. So that's it. When you save this assignment, that means to say that when the student answers or submits the deliverable, or submits assignment number 2, the student will just type in the answer to this assignment directly on the PLMS.